everyone, welcome back. It's Laura Landers. This is Morning Matcha, my show where I get to talk about whatever I want, and I get to do something for the first time today that I have not done in any of my other episodes, and that is answering your questions. I'm actually excited about this one because there's some questions here that I'd rather answer than just throw you a random topic that doesn't really apply to you. So I have a few questions I have to answer here, and I will have time signatures written out in the description below, so if a certain one doesn't apply to you, you can just go on to the next one. So let's get to it because I want to try to get to all of these without this video being too long. So, first question is from Michelle. What are your thoughts on heart ties and soul ties and how to cut them off? There is a lot to cover here, so maybe your top 3 thoughts. There is a lot to cover here because soul ties are a very serious issue, and I understand. I've been there. I feel like soul ties are directly connected to a very intimate relationship you had with somebody. Maybe you had sex with them, and maybe now they're not in your life anymore. Clearly that would be the reason you want to cut off the soul tie. There is such thing as a soul tie. It is absolutely something that you need to handle, so I'm proud of you for asking the question. I'm sure a lot of other people have this question. So, how do you cut off the soul tie? Well, I think it depends on your situation. So let's say you still have that person in your life. Like, let's say you work with them, you can't get away from them. Usually you would just cut someone out of your life and take a few more steps and you have no more soul tie. But that isn't the case for everyone. Maybe you've had a baby with that person. Maybe you work with that person. Maybe they're your best friend's friend. You know, it's just, there's so many different circumstances. So with this situation, these are always so hard to take off. So I would, number 1, forgive them. If you haven't fully forgiven them, maybe the soul tie is because they did you wrong, or sorry, maybe you have a soul tie and the reason you're cutting it off is because they did you wrong, or maybe it was like a 2-party thing and you haven't fully forgiven yourself and forgiven them. I think you need to do both of those. That's very freeing, and that's very healing. But the next step after that is to make sure you're truly mourning and grieving that relationship in order to fully let your heart heal. Because I think sometimes we just think it's gonna go away when we don't like fully mentally address that situation or whatever it was or whatever that relationship was. So make sure you do that, because if you don't, you're kind of just wasting your time. Also, I am a woman of faith. I've had to break soul ties before, and I truly do not think I could have done it without praying and without the Lord intervening and just like taking care of business, because I'm just a human. When you have a really intimate relationship with somebody and you are, I mean, it says in the Bible, and I'm not a legalistic believer whatsoever, but it does say in the Bible that when you have sex with someone, you are sinning, not only just like sinning, but you're sinning against your own body. And so it's almost like a double sin. Not that I'm highly paraphrasing here what the Bible says, but what I'm trying to get at is that it's having sex with someone out of wedlock is so difficult to recover from, because it's just like a double whammy. So I believe that you have to pray it out, because if you don't pray for a pure heart, clean heart, and you're not allowing yourself to like fully regenerate from that, then you might just be feeling shame and guilt still. So make sure you do that. That was a super, super fast answer, and there's so much more to it, but we're gonna move on. Okay, so I have another question from Bobby. One thing you and Jordan work on intentionally to get better at in your marriage, and tips that worked. I am proud to say that Jordan and I have a really good relationship. Like, we've been married not even 2 years. The beginning of marriage is crazy, as all married people know. But we work on our communication all the time, and I would say that that is the thing that we work on very intentionally, and we found out kind of a recipe for success in that almost every single time. And that is whenever, and Jordan, I have to give Jordan props because he was the one to do this first, and then I applied it later. So he taught me in this, which is great. And that is, when someone's going through something, like your spouse is going through a hard time or you're going through the hard time, and you're spilling your guts out or you're venting or whatever, it's natural for the spouse to want to give advice and want to help like ASAP because we love our spouse, we want them to be better. And so what I found is at the beginning when I would vent, I'm a venter, I'm a verbal processor, and so Jordan would try to give me advice when I didn't want it. I just wanted to wallow in my problem. It's true, I just did. And Jordan then learned to ask me, is this a moment where I need to listen or is this a moment where I need to give advice? He would actually ask me that just at any point in our conversation. And that would allow me to stop and think, what do I want in this? Do I want advice? And so when he gives it, I can receive it, or do I just want him to listen and he'll just stay silent? And most of the time, it's him just listening, because that's just how I am. But it's worked wonders in our relationship. And I'm trying to do better at doing the same for him because I just want to help him and I forget to stop and ask him that. That is absolutely a recipe for success. You need to apply that. Anyone who's married, not that we have the perfect marriage at all, but oh my gosh, does it work? And our communication is so good. He's open up all the time. I'm opened up all the time. Whew, communication, love it. Also, knowing each other's Enneagram is super helpful. That's just, okay, there you go. All right, number 3. This is written by Anonymous. It says, how to wear flannel, a guy, and not look like a country boy. It's so funny because that's like one of my biggest pet peeves in fashion, in men's, in flannel, very specific, I know, which is that guys often look like country boys when they wear flannel. So this is actually right up my alleys. This is hilarious. So what I would say as a stylist is for a man to not look country, and especially if you want to leave it open, or I don't know, because flannel is definitely something that's hard to manipulate into like a cool look unless you are just naturally dripping with swag, which not everyone is. So wear edgy pieces, wear black, edgy, hole in the jeans, skinny jeans, wear some really like sick, like I would say black suede Chelsea boots or something like that. I'm not saying do this exact thing, this is just first thing that comes to mind. And I would wear maybe a necklace, that way it edges it up a little bit and you're not like a puka shell necklace, but like a cool long line necklace. And I mean, maybe a beanie or like a flat bill hat or just like a cool hat. You don't have to wear a hat, but accessories will be your savior with flannel. If you don't have accessories, you truly will look like you are a farm boy. I mean, clearly, you just changed the shoe from cowboy boot to Chelsea boot and you've just changed who you are as a person. So there's my really, really fast answer for you. Okay. Jordan, how to deal with society's pressure of success, marriage, and finding a good job, etc. Okay, this one is filled with an answer, and I understand what this is asking. So this is saying, like, in my representation, or interpretation, excuse me, it's saying, like, I'm from Texas. I grew up with a family, with friends. The society there told you that you have to work a 9-to-5 job, be a good parent, get married early, get your dream job early, only in the city that you're from, and have babies, and that's success. And that's the mindset there. It's just to be a good husband or be a good wife. And I completely disagree. Completely, wholeheartedly, clearly I have moved to Los Angeles to pursue my dream, and I've been here for almost 7 years. Like, I did not do what normal Texas people do, and I'm not saying that, ooh, I'm amazing. What I'm saying is, you have to think for yourself, or find something that has sparked inspiration in you and go after that, like a way of life. So college isn't for everybody. It definitely isn't. Would I say that that was the answer when I went to college almost 10 years ago? A little less than 10 years ago. No. Like, I feel like then it was, you go to college. And now I feel like it's definitely not like that anymore. You have options not to go. I don't regret going to college. What I'm saying is like, you have to choose to sacrifice for what you want. If you want a family, there you go. You may be sacrificing your dream. If you want your dream, you can absolutely have, anyways, I feel like I'm getting off topic. What I'm trying to say is, do not care what other people think. I know that that's harder to do than just to say, because I've been there where I've already moved to LA and I was still told to get a 9-to-5 job to make it. And that is not who I am to the core. I am not designed that way. And to realize that that's how I am took a while. And I think it's just kind of trial and erroring out your own life. But who cares what your uncle says, or who cares what your parents say? I respect my parents completely. And whatever they say to me, I take with more than just a grain of salt. But I have to know that that's not actually right for me. It's right for them, and they're trying to help me, and what they say is valid, but it is not my way of life. So, okay, last question. Here we go. This is from Hope, and Hope says, is there something you wish someone would have told you before you got married? Yes. Yes. If I had to boil it down to only one thing, which is hard because there's like so much advice you could give someone when they're getting married, but the one thing I truly, truly wish someone would have told me is that the beginning of your marriage is going to be so extremely difficult in whatever way that may be, because everyone's life is different. It was so difficult, and no one told me that it was going to be. Like, people say marriage is hard, but they don't really emphasize how hard it can be at the beginning. And maybe that's because for some people, I don't know these people, but some people, marriage at the beginning isn't hard, but I almost feel like, man, they have it coming to them, because life is gonna hit them eventually in some way, shape, or form. But it's just hard, like so hard in ways you're not prepared for, and hard in ways that you just, no one teaches you, no one explains this to you, and it is different for everyone, so I understand why people don't explain it. But if I had known, like, Laura, even when we were engaged, it was already starting to get crazy hard, and I thought it was just kind of gonna magically sort of just get better once we got married. Like, life wasn't gonna be so hard, and it was just harder, and it was harder for like a year and a half, 2 years. And if I had like known that before we got married, I don't think I would have been as depressed. I was actually depressed. I was depressed on my wedding day because life was hard. It was just like, I don't know. If someone would have told me that it was going to be really hard, I think because I had the mindset of powering through and fighting more, then it would have been a little bit easier. Just a little bit. And I could have done a better job. So that's the one thing. If I had to choose one thing, that's what I would say about marriage. So I know this video is a little bit longer than normal, but I wanted to get through all of these questions. Please feel free to, sorry, I just had a little brain fart there. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you want me to answer on the next episodes. I actually enjoy doing this. I want to give you content that you want answers to from my own experience in life. It might not totally mesh with your opinions, but I think that's the beauty of humanity, is that we can share our opinions even if we don't care to believe the same thing or not, and we all get to grow from it and learn from it, and that's just so much fun to me. So I'm gonna froth my milk here and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining me on Morning Matcha. I'm Lori Landers. Leave a comment below with what you think about what I said, and I will see you later.